not so positive mindset. So, yeah, that's...
When you have a good mindset, you're working on the right things. This is good. You know, sometimes we see things that there's something constructive that needs to be discussed with somebody, but with you, and with you finding the right people to do this with, you know, speaking of Carl Jung has a quote, 40, everything prior to that is research.
That makes a lot of sense.
This is for people like us, real adults, that we need this stuff. Apparently I can help other people. Thank you for sharing this with me.
Yeah, thank you. That's, for somebody like, I'm a very negative person. It's comforting to know that I share...
You're doing the right stuff.
And stuff. Yeah. It's,
we're always our own worst critic. We've talked about that before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm my own worst enemy.
Yeah, this is why, like, when people are really awful, it's not so much turn the other cheek in the sense that most people think of it. People who are awful, toxic people, which you aren't.
Mm-hmm.
This is reminded me of this is, you know, be kind to them because whatever they're doing to you, can you imagine how unkind they are to themselves and how miserable they are? Whatever they just did to you, unless, like, you know, you need to sue them, put them in jail, like, serious problem, right? But we're not talking that. We're talking just like a nasty disposition person. Imagine what their inner life is like.
You know, I've never thought of that. In each situation, I try to put myself in somebody's shoes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To see their perspective on things, but I've never considered that.
Yeah, that's what we talk about.
If they're as hard on themselves as I am on myself.
Because if they're going to be malevolent towards other people and they have that malevolent view of how the world works, God, they're so unhappy and so miserable and so broken inside, and they're doing it to themselves. There's almost nothing you can do to them that's worse than that. Show them some benevolence and some kindness, because it's about time somebody did. Live that example.
Yeah.
You don't have to go out of your way necessarily, but you certainly don't have to give it back to them.
I got to tell you, Seth, I want to thank you for having us here. It's been such a different experience that I'm normally used to, you know, interviewing bands and stuff from all over the world. Found you on Google Earth. I can't even remember why. I was looking at Pittsburgh, and your name came up, and it said Seth Neustein, magician. I was supposed to remember the number 208, if you want to touch on that real quick.
Numbers represent interesting things. And 208 is actually a really fascinating number. It represents brand new ideas. Somebody who is constantly coming up with new and interesting ideas. So if they're more practical minded, they like solutions, they're a problem solver. If they're more artistically minded, they're super creative. And they have more, but either way, they have more ideas than they know what to do with, and that's what they like. What you do with those ideas and how you manage them is a whole nother process with different numbers. So you got a mentalist on for the for that idea, because what do you do when you have an idea? The first thing you do is you question it, and you question yourself, and you evaluate it before you share it with anybody else.
Before you try to figure it out.
You vet it internally. You examine it in your mind. How to transform to get to that next level, to get to that next, quote, gold standard.
Yeah.
That's why...
Fascinating. It's fascinating.
Yeah,
it really
that's
is.
all the symbolism about gold. That's why halos are gold, etc., because they deal with ascending to the next stage of your life that's being very successful, and you're building it, and it's going well, and it's because you have these ideas, and you vetted them kind of internally, and then you went and did the work, and you're doing the work. So thank you for having me on there. It's almost like synchronicity.
I want to do this again.
Wound up being about that.
I want to do this again. Celebrating 3 years on July the 30th, and it's been 3 years of work. Thank you so much for being on Keep Me Alive. And episode 208, it was a pleasure to have you on, and it was an honor to meet you.